says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one who loves me is the one who loving?
It appears to me, and maybe this goes back to World War II, that Black folk are so delicious to everyone. You know, everyone's courting us during an election cycle, except for the Democrats, in a way that they should. It's like really silly. Don't take us for granted, which is what I hear a lot too. They're taking us for granted because they just think, you know, because 90% of Black people do vote Democratic. And it's not because we love Democrats, it's because we love to live and to be free. That said, you know, they have identified this as a weakness, just as Hitler's Germany identified it as a weakness, and as Russia identified it as a weakness during the Harlem Renaissance. As you know, China is in Africa right now. They identify the weakness. This is the weakness. Why not shore it up? Why not make sure that you lean into the one group of people who always voted for you? You have not been elected. White people have not voted for the Democrats in 50 plus years. You have not gotten the white popular vote. White women who you took their reproductive rights away from, and they knew that was on the ballot, voted for Trump. And then even more than voted for Trump in 2020. You're not ever getting a white vote back. Double down on the people that brought you here. Like, it is so frustrating to me. What do we do with that?
So here's one thing I want to talk about okay, so this perception that Democrats have or only care about Black voters on election day. Okay, well, what feeds that? Lack of progress on certain issues. Certainly police reform would fall into that.
Voting rights.
Voting rights, right? Yeah. Who's stopping that progress? The Republican Party. So it's a matter of, you know, in this institutional system, if we only didn't have the last two of our senators, one coming from a state that voted for Trump by 70%, the other one being batshit crazy, right? If only we didn't have that problem, we could have done something. But the truth of the matter is, what stops us from doing stuff isn't the Democrats, it's the Republican Party. So like, they know that if they keep us from achieving stuff, they can go back to the Black community and say they failed you, see, because they count on us not understanding it was their obstruction that prevented the progress on that, right? And they're doing the same thing with Kamala Harris, okay? They know that as the VP, she will be the presumptive front runner in a Democratic nomination if we still have democracy in 2028. And so what have they done? They've created a narrative that she doesn't know what she's doing, and she certainly wouldn't be qualified to be president on day one. The woman is an ex-senator and the AG of California. Mike Pence was a governor and a House member. No quality difference, except for she's Black and female. And yet we pick up their narratives and we start to reinforce them. And they know that about us. So I do write about in the book, like, when we have perceptions of the Democrats are not delivering for Black voters, we should question how that impression is formed, what's powering it, and understand that the Republican obstruction plan that they've been executing every year since 2010 works precisely because the blame will end up at the top, the president, Obama, Biden. I've had many activists tell me, you know, years ago, oh, you know, President Obama failed us on immigration. I'm like, dude, he got us vote 67 votes through the Senate, and then the Republican Party controlled the House, and you can't do anything about that. There's nothing Obama, Biden can do right now to change the fact that in the House of Representatives, the majority party has total and complete agenda setting power. So if immigration reform goes there and they don't want it to pass, which it would pass on bipartisan basis, it's dead. And so then they benefit not only because they're disrupting all these good policies that would benefit people, especially the communities of color that they despise, and you know they despise them because they put people like Herschel Walker on the ballot to represent them, right? So you know it's not fake. They're disgust and their, you know, racist ass, you know, opinions about the Black community, because they live it and they breathe it every day, and they count on us to reward them for that obstruction. And that's why my messaging work has been about naming the villain, if you'll remember that part.
That's
it's
right,
because we have often preferred to talk about villains in forms of lobby groups like the NRA, big pharma, big oil, or just Congress in general. And even though there were 2 Democrats that screwed us out of Voting Rights Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Act last time, the end of the day, the thing in the way is the Republican Party. And we have to get past them if we want to fix anything. And then the only way to do that is to name them and make sure people know where to direct their angst.
Well, ask Jamie Harrison to do a TikTok that it's the Republic. We don't have voting rights. It's because of the Republicans.
Right.
You don't have reparations. Here, Peter, you don't have reparations. Talk to the Republicans.
Yeah.
That's
No
all.
doubt.
That one alone. That's it. That's it. No tangibles. Republicans. I want to enlist you in helping me figure something out, and I'm putting a number out for the callers because I want to understand this too. So, a fellow named Michael Render, who is from Atlanta and goes by the name of Killer Mike, rap name.
Okay.
He met with Robert Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr., who was also on the ballot. Is he on the ballot in a lot of states? Is he running as a third party? I'm confused by his candidacy. What is he exactly? What is he, an independent?
Yeah, no, he is looking for any access to the ballot to be a spoiler. Okay. It's a vanity project. It's not endorsed by the Kennedy family. In fact, the Kennedy family is absolutely up in arms that he's doing this to us right now. So that's what's up with that. And in terms of ballot access, it's kind of iffy right now because they spent $7 million on an ad pretending that he is, part of the Kennedy dynasty. And then, they don't have access to some of these more critical ballots. And so it's hard to see how much of an issue it will be, but I would expect that MAGA's funding this movement. MAGA's the funders behind RFK Jr., same donors.
Does he need money? I mean, he's a Kennedy. Does he think they still got Kenny Bunkport? I mean, what?
Yeah, I would. You would think, but no, I know for sure that the same people that are funding no labels third party spoilers are also financing the this Robert F. Kennedy campaign, and it's a real unfortunate thing to do right now.
So my question to you, Rachel Bitecofer, is here. If you're a serious person, you care about your community, you love your people, you want to see change, what's the upside of meeting with a Robert Kennedy at a barbershop, or any place? Why would one do that? What is the benefit of listening? Because some would say, we should hear everybody out. We should listen to everybody, right? And I might be in that camp, but for what's at stake now, that sometimes hearing people out might put us in a position. But I also think maybe people hearing people out weren't going to vote anyway. So I'm gonna put that over there. But how do you talk to people who say we should listen to, a Jill Stein because she's got some good ideas, or before it was Tulsi Gabbard. I know that's not her name. I like calling her that. It makes me feel good, like Fucker Carlson. Something I'm working through. How do you negotiate this when someone would say, well, if he's running, we should have everyone to come through and we should challenge everyone who wants our vote, and he wants, he's coming to us. What do you say to people?
I would say this, number one, I mean, the stakes are different. I also, like you guys, like many of the people and the people I write the book about, I want good policy and good substance conversation. I'm a moderate pragmatist that wants to get stuff done and bring coalitions together, but I've suspended all of that because I also don't want to live in a Christo-fascist, white supremacy run Republican autocracy. And that's what they're promising to bring us. So right now, I would say any platforming of Kennedy is bad and especially because he already has this huge name ID advantage. And so going back to what I told you guys about all the rest of our fellow Americans who are not like us, that stuff, a famous last name is a very powerful asset to have. It's a very dangerous asset to have. And so, in this case, I would also add that Ross Perot in 1992 ran at a time where there was a lot of flux in the electorate. People were realigning and de-aligning, and the South was changing from Democratic to Republican, but the same white conservatives are there, right? All that stuff was in flux, but Perot got 19% of the popular vote, which is an insane amount for a third-party candidate. Still could not win any. 0 electoral college votes. Okay. So although I get the idea of the two parties suck and that one, at the end of the day, he also cannot win in an electoral college system. The electoral college system means we can't win, right? So you can't win a third party count. If you change that and you have a different institutional structure, then we can introduce more party competition. But right now, what we're doing is shooting democracy in its foot when we help these third party candidates reach more people.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I run my fingers through her hair as she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one who loves things